As the battle over health care intensifies, a congressional compromise on reform seems less and less likely. But do the divided Democrats have enough votes to pass health care on their own? Let's debate it. Republican strategist Andrea Tantaros, playing the role of Andrea Tantaros. She's here. And in Washington, D.C., Democratic political strategist Taylor West. Taylor,
Hi, Brian.
How are you? Is it time?
I'm good.
Is it time for the Democrats just to say, look, we heard the president. He thinks there's a conspiracy not to get Republicans to play, so we should just do it alone, like Senator Schumer brought up?
Well, Brian, I think there really has been a turning point in the last week where we've seen that Republicans, their only goal now at this point is to kill any and all attempt at health care reform. So we actually have a chance to take a new path here. You know, you've heard the phrase, no good deed goes unpunished. I think the president has been over backwards to be a good guy on this and bring these folks to the table, but you can't work in good faith with people who aren't committed to doing the same thing.
Andrew, has he bent over backwards?
No, he hasn't even bent over forwards. The guy isn't bending at all. I mean, it's news to me. It's news to the Republican Party that they've actually reached out to us, because the truth is they have not whatsoever. But for them to try and ram this through on their own, they do so at their own peril. And really, you know, the Democrats saying that the Republicans have been obstructing this plan. Forget the Republicans. Look at the polls, Brian. The American electorate completely opposes this plan. Republicans, independents, moderates. It's not me. Just look at the numbers.
Do you have the numbers?
Except, Brian, for the 3/4 of Americans who are in favor of having the choice of a Medicare-like option. Look, the fact is that Republicans know that
75% of Americans want a public option?
A successful health care reform effort that lowers costs for families and gets them out from under the thumb of insurance companies will be a huge win for the president and a huge win for Democrats, and Republicans recognize that the best thing for them to do is just to try to prevent that.
Now, where did you get those stats? The Taylor Institute for Convienient Democratic Poll Numbers on morning shows? I mean, come on. Over 90% of Americans like their health care and they want to keep it. Over 60% of independents do not favor the plan that your party's putting forward. The numbers are there.
All of those
they
people
don't
who
want
like
what
their
you're
health
selling.
care
They're not picking up what you're putting down. They're not smelling what you're stepping in.
Get a chance to keep it.
Right. But let me say, Taylor, let me stop right here. Andrew, let me question you here. And we heard Mitch McConnell, we've heard Republican leaders say, we do think that health care needs to be reformed. And when it comes to cost and when it comes to access, are Republicans taking too much of a risk of bailing out and saying everything's fine? Is that showing a deaf ear to the American public and their wants and needs?
No, they're not. I think the Republican Party is doing a good job of articulating an opposing plan. The problem is, well, AHPs.
I'd like to hear this, too.
AHPs, tort reform, lifting the ban on getting insurance from other states. That would really up competition and choice. The difficulty for the Republican Party now is that no one really is listening that close to them because they are the party of opposition now. They are in the minority. So it's tough for them to get attention for what they're actually selling right now.
And Taylor, John McCain said to Barack Obama, somebody that is looked to lead when it comes to a bipartisan bill, much to the ire of Republicans, rip it up, start again. What are the chances of that happening in the first or second week in September?
Look, I don't think that's happening. I think Democrats are committed to getting a health care fix, and I think you're seeing the Republicans are committed at this point to trying to stop that from happening. So if they would prefer to spend their time trying to tear down the president and trying to prevent a victory, that's fine. But we're going to move forward on getting a health care solution for families with or without them.
Democrats are committed to the far left, and Republicans are committed to doing what the majority of Americans want.
We're going to come back and talk more about something similar but different. Straight ahead, both of you stay right there. Nancy Pelosi accuses the GOP of leading a culture of corruption. Remember that catchphrase. But 11 members of her own party are under investigation. Why isn't anyone talking about that? We will next. Plus, a Democrat booed by the same people who put her in office.